Welcome to Destiny Ranch. We're in the bright spots of St. Louis, Oklahoma. We call it Destiny Ranch because it was always our destiny to come back to the ranch. My name is William Payne, and this is my wife, Karen Payne. We are the owners, operators, and workers of this ranch. Agriculture for us is just a way of life that we like. It's peaceful. The cows won't argue with you too much as other things. Kids would argue with you, but the cows wouldn't. But we just like agriculture.
When you can get up every morning and you walk out your back door, your front door, and you say, thank you, God, for this beautiful day and this beautiful land. Yep. You can't get any better than this.
We're 100% cattle producers. We eat, sleep, and drink our grasses, and it's all about the grasses and producing beef with the cattle.
We are actually grass farmers.
Yeah, we are grass farmers at heart. Yeah, and it's our grasses that makes everything work. Without the grasses, we can't have the cattle. So we started in the Panhandle. It's a different life in the Panhandle. The Panhandle of Oklahoma is one of those places that's just bitter cold in the wintertime, super hot in the summertime. The winds can blow 40 miles an hour from the north, and then within 2 hours they can be blowing from the south. We got to see firsthand what a drought looks like when we watched them big black clouds blow in and it'd get dark and we had to protect the kids so they could breathe. It wasn't a fun time, but outside with our hogs and our cattle, we went through devastation. I mean, cattle just dropped dead from not being able to breathe. We didn't know as kids growing up, why did all of our families always tell the kids, you gotta leave, you can't stay here. But after we got back in the 70s, we discovered at that point why they didn't want the kids back home. It was too hard. It was tough.
I think that experience and us going back and living through it again in a mild way in the 70s, I think we both realized that it could happen any time if you don't take care of the land. And our land is our livelihood. And so our goal and our plan was to make the grass grow. We are grass farmers.
We started from scratch here with a piece of ground in St. Louis, Oklahoma. A piece of ground that everybody said that we shouldn't buy, but we bought it because the price was right, and we decided, well, we'll buy it and we'll make it work. It was so overly grazed and so tree infested with vines and shrubs and undesirable plants that nobody could even tell us what it might produce. When we was told we wouldn't know what species would be growing until we let it rest for a year. That means we wasn't going to run cattle for a year. And that was probably one of the first big eye-openers we had, but it was one of the best recommendations that we probably ever received from anybody, and it came from the Noble Research Institute, Mr. Hugh Algio.
We knew we had a lot of work in front of us. But then in 2007, and when the spring rain started, and by June we had 70-something inches of rain, and we were getting every vehicle we had stuck, and including our 100-horsepower tractor. We didn't know what we were going to do. I don't know how many times Bill and I would look at each other and, do we need to find a buyer? How can we do this? What do we do? And every day we just kept keeping on.
When we started doing the high-intensity rotational grazing, we was cautioned very heavily. Yeah, don't try it. Rotational grazing at high intensity on native pastures will not work. And I went to a thing with Greg Judy down at the Noble Research Institute there, and I got plumb excited. It was in August, and he was talking about mob grazing, and I come home, lasted about 24 hours, and I went over on my best meadow, fenced off 7 one-acre traps, and put 70 heifers, 600-pounders, on each track, moved them across there in 7 days and took them out. In the spring of that next year, 2011, that grass exploded. It was dark green, and it was twice as tall as everything else in the field. And it was that year, in April of 2011, it's kind of like shaking a big tree. I told Karen, I said, we're going to do every grazable acre on 1 acre tracts this summer. We didn't have any poly wires. We did it all with steel wire. And we did. That was the hottest summer recorded in the state of Oklahoma, but we did 1 acre tract grazing that summer for every grazable acre we had, and we have never slowed down.